So, welcome to episode 35 of the Grappling with Physio podcast. I'm joined today with Pritt Mihkelson. Pritt, thank you very much for your time.
Happy to be here, as always.
And welcome to the podcast. Now, I know you're a very, very busy man. I follow you on Instagram and I'm constantly seeing your schedule of you flying here and there and everywhere. So, very much appreciative of the time today. What I'd like to do is kind of just go in, for those that don't know you, get a bit of background, kind of how you got into BJJ, being an Estonian. I would imagine, well, I'd like to hear the history of how BJJ got started over there and kind of how you ended up where you are today in regards to being a bit of a pioneer of defensive BJJ.
Yes.
So how did the journey start for you?
I played all my let's say from the third grade, or even second maybe. I played basketball till ninth grade. I would say some of our friends are laughing about it, but I would say I played at a pretty high level as a Estonian youth basketball, and I was pretty obsessed anyway at that time. I didn't get bullied, and I was a little bit chubby for different reasons for compared to now. But my childhood was okay, and my basketball kind of saved me because I was kind of the team's best player. And then after ninth grade, our team broke up, and I went to college. My mom didn't let me go to high school because my mom, she's a teacher. She was a German language teacher, and then she said, like, if I would go to high school, I would just have a one notebook for all the classes. I wouldn't concentrate and just be lazy. I had the head, but I guess I lacked the motivation or purpose. I wasn't stupid. But and then I went to college. Well, we call it Polytechnic, something, and I went to study telecommunication, and how to fix TVs, how signal transfers around the Earth and everything else. And then I met. I was looking to do something. Obviously, I had free time, and so a couple of my school buddies were doing martial arts. One was doing Aikido, and one was doing karate, I think. And that kind of got me interested, like, oh, maybe I wasn't usually the guy that, was trying to pick a fight, or I guess I had some confrontations when I was a kid, but I kind of wasn't into it. But I grew up with Bloodsport, the Steven Seagal, Nico movies, all this Bruce Lee stuff, Jackie Chan. So I was also, I guess, influenced by that era of martial arts, and I wasn't so much Chuck Norris's fan. That kind of Missing in Action and all those movies kind of went past me a little bit. That I know he was a big superstar, but those what I mentioned was. And I also credit a lot to go to martial arts because my late dad, wanted to make a man out of me or something, and then some karate school opened up pretty close to where I live, so it was like like a bus and a tram, and it was pretty easy to go there. So I joined up one fall autumn, and the rest is history. So I joined karate, and then I think it was Monday, Wednesday karate or something. And then I had Tuesday, Thursday free. So maybe after a year or whatever, I joined Aikido also. So I was doing Aikido and karate same time. And then the history goes a little bit fuzzy because I don't know the exact chronological sequence there. But I also did Tai Chi. There was a Michuan Tai Chi stuff. Scott Rodell, actually from States, was visiting Estonia. Then my coach, my karate coach, Valeri Koala, was pretty influenced by the soft style, so to speak. So he was himself Shotokan karate black belt, but he was searching for things, softness and everything else. So he was infusing different things together. And I met him when he was on that journey. And then I don't know when I started to do Tai Chi, or I know I went to seminars and did stuff, and the Chinese martial arts kind of came to Estonia, and they were bringing Chinese, so to speak. They call them masters, but I don't know, how masters they were. But they Estonians were bringing them in. So I did those seminars, and I don't know when it happened. I ran Tai Chi classes actually. And then my karate coach died at some point, and because I was I don't know, the best karate guy there, I guess. Then and for different reasons, I was named, like, I know the club was kind of given to me, or the coaching was given to me. It was owned by somebody else, but I guess the head coach position or something was given to me. And I was 23, 24, something like it, pretty early. I think at least was that. And then I think because our style and the era also came to Wing Chun, and our coach, already karate coach, was influenced also by some Wing Chun stuff and trapping arms, and I was a big fan of that. And I think as I know that I went to Wing Chun, I had the first coach from Finland. We were in a Leongting Wing Chun system, and then that coach got kicked out by German coach. The one other, Dimitri Stachevich, one other guy. So I rode to Finland, and he rode right away to Germany, I think, to look for a coach. So he started before me, and then the German organization announced that Frank Petzold would be, head of the politics, whatever, And so, the Finnish coach got left aside a bit, and that's the Wing Chun story. And our Jiu-Jitsu story actually starts from there, if the listening are still listening. So, because the other Wing Chun coach was from Eastern Estonia, Narva, I think it was. And he was a former Sambo guy. I don't know what level Sambo, actually, but I know that his guys also fought in no rules matches, so to speak. They called them back then no rules. I guess they have some rules, but in Russian language, like "Бои без правила" actually means like fight without any rules. But obviously, like a no holds barred. There are actually some rules, but they call them that. So he was already doing something, I think, MMA like also. I've seen some clips of these guys choking somebody, but and then I don't know what his reasoning was, but he joined the Wing Chun, and he was a Sambo guy. So in some point, I don't know why, that he mentioned to me, like, Sambo is good, Wing Chun is good in stand-up, but you also need a groundwork, like, and I was like, okay, why not? We did some, the Leongting, the Wing Chun system was influenced by the Emin Bostepe ground fighting stuff that people can look it up. It was like on your back defending against the standing opponent, and how to stay there. And so there was some simple kind of groundwork there, how to keep the distance and how to get up, or if you get pushed down. And then we did some, beginning Sambo stuff that it was very basic in that sense, that he, even showed us the kidney squeeze, like, closed guard, and you straighten the legs and you squeeze the side, and arm bars and some leg locks. And I know I really liked it at the beginning right away. I don't even know why. Some people, when you see jiu-jitsu, they go like, I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. And so I think the small group of us started to do it aside of Wing Chun. And then, I also changed coaches in chronological. I don't know how it goes, but I changed coaches from then Germany, and then Danish guys left the Germany organization, the worldwide organization, because different politics and reasoning. So I went with the Danish guys. And then after I also left the Danish guys and went to actually Lithuania. There was Eastern European Leongting organization that was different from the Keith Kirchbeth. And then I stayed there because it was, I guess, more true to the Wing Chun nature or tradition, or really the I don't know, the Chinese art, or the German stuff was too commercialized, maybe. And after a while, I don't know. I had enough. There were some different reasons, political and just maybe coaching and everything else. And also we started to do a monthly. I think it was. I don't know how long it lasted, the monthly stuff, but we did Bloody Thursday. I would right now say like every month we had a Bloody Thursday, and where we fought like helmets, cup, groin cups, some shins and gloves and stuff, and people who had very little, or even if they have more, it's better, but very little, or they just saw some grappling or MMA from the TV, they had immense advantage in those Bloody Thursdays. And all those like what we learned, the tanzaos and bongzaos and stuff, and it was very hard to make it work, and something you saw like a double leg from TV and you could do it, and then somebody says you have to learn something, jokingly 10 years and to make it work, and then in some point I started to be more interested of, let's say actual fighting, what works, what different sports, what distance, and then it kind of really fast like filtered out kind of, I don't know, let's call it bullshit, or what actually happens. And I don't mind the arts that do other things, because I think if you do it for right reasons, I don't think they're bad. But if you talk about fighting, we can test it, so in some point also we left like mid-season, actually. I think it was 2005 February we left, and 2005 May we opened up our own club. I know 2005 also in April we had some MMA fights, like 5 or 6. I think we won the 5 and lost the 6th fight, and that kind of turned some heads because we had kind of good fights. And so even one super fight, what was miss weight, actually our opponent was way bigger and very good wrestler, and we were able to armbar him, and that kind of took notice that weird guys who train in a basement, weird things that were actually kind of good. So we were kind of, at that time, I think even in forums and stuff, we were kind of more aggressive, like discussing people about different arts, and I even went to, in some point I went to dim muck gym. They that thought like touching and then you fall. We actually went there to fight, and I had just recovered from B hepatitis, so they said if I would fight, they would kill me right away because there are no points and stuff, so I would just die. And I was like, okay, so I'm, I have my reason to not do it then. And then other guys wanted to fight, and they found different excuses. And then finally we offered, like, we go to Tartu University Medical Department and we do all the tests, health tests necessary, whatever you want, I want to fight. And they said, and then later coach said, only if you give me $1 million. And he actually said, I think $1 million. And after that, I was like, yeah, obviously, I don't have that money. So, and that later they stopped talking in forums, weird thing about fighting. So it was a really weird era that, people, the MMA kind of jiu-jitsu came to the scene, and people were, still trying to talk about fighting after that evidence piled in, And I know in some point also I don't know where it was, I know it was a karate camp. We had like a club camp, and I know we watched also VHS tapes about Royce Gracie fighting. And kind of after that year or two, we kind of did our own thing, or like opened jiu-jitsu club or something also that fits in there some way. And that was, that was weird to see one pajama guy choking people out. And so that chronologically is a little bit like it's all piled together in a very, I think, short amount of time. In 5 years, something happened, and all those things. So, and then I changed a lot of styles. I was looking for something. I didn't know what I was looking for. And in Estonia, they had like saying like Priit and his 10 styles. And I was always adding and doing and figuring stuff out. And then finally found jiu-jitsu, and now I've done it 22 years. So that search for something.
When you say finally found it, I mean, like if we take the UK, for example, there was a clear kind of defining moment where Mauricio Gomez landed in the country and kind of set up, schools. And then from that, he brought Hodger with him. there was, prior to that, there was a blue belt called Mark Armour, who was already here, who had, I'm not sure, I need to speak to him at some point on the podcast and get his backstory, but there was that kind of genesis moment where Mauricio landed. Was there a Brazilian that kind of landed in Estonia to say, right,
No,
I'm setting up shop, or how did that
no, actually
introduction
Brazilians.
start?
That's what it is. I credit that to the Sambo guy. And I don't know how we got it first. Maybe, you know, Sambo guys did it. There's a, you know, combat Sambo and then sports Sambo and then military Sambo. And so I credit all my search for Jiu-Jitsu. I credit to that Wing Chun guy, Dmitry Stachevich. So he showed us, and then, you know, we started to do it in different ways. We trained basically under trees when they kicked us out from the school, the shooting range, because the school was during the summer break. So we actually trained on the grass. We have also trained without anything. We are trained on wooden floors with knee pads, without the bone clicking. And so we just started on our own. There was nobody, and I think we were poor enough that Brazilians, nobody actually contacted us, or we didn't invite anybody. Also, and I guess we got our hands on some videotapes. I know Finnish guys, they started 4 years earlier than us, and they had you know, Brazilians coming, you know, very often to Finland, and that's where we went to seminars and to compete also to Finland. But we never liked to let's say, also I think it was money stuff, but the clubs were very small. Probably Finland clubs were bigger, but we didn't like to associate somehow, I don't know why, with Brazilians, and we didn't want to invite anybody, and we were doing our own thing, and I don't know, it wasn't like a, you know, cockiness in that sense, but so I don't know why. But I credit also Finland in that sense, that maybe they had, you know, bigger clubs, more organized, and even when we opened our own club, actually Estonian 2004, one first Estonian Jiu-Jitsu club was opened, kind of MMA and Jiu-Jitsu club in the southeast city, Tartu. So we were second club, you know, officially doing. We were first unofficially doing Jiu-Jitsu, like you could call me a grandfather, you know. But there's also debate about it, that because that's one guy also, Robert Tomming, was also like doing maybe something earlier in Finland or so, in Sweden. So we can, you know, there was be a heated debate about what actually, or who actually was first, you know. But clearly, we spread jiu-jitsu in Estonia, and let's call it like we were like a bunch of first people here that started to do it. And we liked it our own, and we did pretty good because we went to compete. I think Martimes won in Finland, and Martin Aeba won first place right away. He's the most accomplished, I think, jiu-jitsu guy in Estonia. And then I did second, and then at some point Martimes too, I think I fought in advance. I won it. Martin got I think some super fight, or he won also something. So we did pretty good. And we were just going to Finland, just, you know, seeing information, getting, you know, information, and watching tape and DVDs ourselves, and we were never going to, like yeah. And at some point also, like, we had to decide, or they also asked, because I got my blue belt from Alexander Paiva from Alliance, and in some point I think they asked me like, what you want to do, you know. But then we went to other ways, so we didn't join Alliance back then. So
is that when you kind of joined SBG, or?
I guess, yeah. So I think Indrek was already blue belt, because Indrek got a blue belt from SPG, I think, from Matt Thornton. And Indrek was he's a philosophy PhD and kind of smart. So he found Matt Thornton's spiritual blog, like his personal blog. And then that led to finding the aliveness.blogspot.com site. That's pretty good so far. It's still, it was our Bible, and I will always credit Matt for that he actually wrote down like what is coaching, what is fundamental, you know, and how to drill and everything. It was it's still some heavy reading, and it started us on a path that I think we are in. I'm now. So so they made a like offer that do I join, like Northern Estonia, Tallinn, do I join Alliance, and then Indrek was kind of a Mats fan because SPG back then was more like they had the anarchy sign, and there was kind of a little bit even movement against Brazilians, kind of. It was different. It was different because, yeah. So just people did it because they did it, and there was like something else was important, not those hierarchies and everything else. And I think the coaching and it was drilling and everything I liked was important. And then I didn't want to separate Estonia to tear it up, and Indrek talked a good talk about Matt, and we found like I said, the aliveness blog, and we went with SPG. And so next belt already, I think purple belt I got from Matt in UK. There was a late Carl Tanswell had a SPG Manchester. Right now, there's other his students are coaching that in that place because Carl is sadly gone. So I got my purple belt in UK actually, and then I think I got my brown belt in Berkeley, California, and black belt in Niagara. Black belt, no, in Portland, Oregon. Yeah. So the rest of it was from Matt, and then
was the black belt from
yeah.
Chris Hoyter or?
No. But black belt I got it from Matt, and I think also my first stripe was from Matt, and that I think I got it from Niagara Fall, one of the SPG camps. And then my second stripe, actually, because I left SPG 2018, 2018 June, I think, or July, I left to do my own thing, for different reasons. And then I asked Chris Sauter that, I could also do it because I joined belt checker, and belt checker, you can just give stripes because I don't care about stripes because there's just time. And I know you can talk stripes up that, why they matter, and your coach can, put the stripes on. I don't feel that way at the moment, at least. It's just time. Black belt is performance, and stripes are time. And so belt checker, you can just put stripes. And but Chris was coming to Estonia in February, a couple of years ago, and I asked Chris, that do you want to do the honor, because Chris is actually Matt Thornton's coach.
Yeah.
And Chris has always been very apolitical. And I asked Chris, would you do me the honor that, and then Chris said yes. And the third one, I have 3 stripes, 3. And the third one I put on myself because belt checker, I'm what's the approved, verified third stripe. So because it's time, and but the stripe game gets weird because it's after 5th whatever stripe you get a different belt, and it's a white and red belt, and I think it gets, for me at least, gets a little bit silly after a while. So, and we'll see when I jump off that wagon. So far I like it, but I know already I'm not gonna do the full game. I just couldn't care less about those different those belts that kind of differentiate from others. I don't think that's the point of what I want to do.
Pritt, can I ask if
Yes.
you had such a good connection with Straight Blast Gym, and it's interesting what you said earlier about your beginnings with JKD, because that's essentially what Matt Thornton was into as well, before he really kind of went into BJJ. And you had quite a lot of parallels, and it seemed to be a great place where you got promoted and reached the rank of black belt. What were those reasons? Why would you walk away and leave?
Let's say in Estonia, I would say it's hard to feel the vibe. That's why we went very often. There was at some point there was a SPG summer camps in Jones Cavernous Gym, Dublin, and I traveled there for quite a bit. I've been in John gyms when he when he was before the, he has a big place now. Before he has also big, and then he was like a smaller place. So I've been in different gyms in the Jones Kavanagh gym, and we always went there to feel the vibe. And also I went to States. I think it was 2007 or 8. I went to States for 3 months, and I stayed actually with one guy, Peter Boghossian, who's famous, atheist speaker, for atheist and philosopher. He took me on his wing, yeah. And so I stayed there. I went there to feel something, yeah. But I think during the years or something, it was harder and harder to feel it. And I think I had my own thing going on, all the defensive stuff and turtling, and I don't know, maybe finding my own way. And I felt maybe I was too much had to look up in that sense, what is planned for me, or or where everything is going, where the organization is going, and
what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
No, what people are teaching, what is curriculum, what is important, how business is done, and everything else. And I guess I had my own thoughts already, and I like my stuff, and I think it was eventually easier to go on my own way, because I guess for not because of them, but because of maybe my stuff, I felt that less and less. It was kind of a gradual separation, and I think it was better than that. I did my own thing, because it seems that if I'm free, it's better. I don't have to look up to something. Is it proved? Is it good? I wanted to go my own path and kind of do my own promotion. And I think it turned out good, because when I left, I kind of knew what I want to do, how I'm gonna advance things, when I'm gonna head. And now you see all the results. It also kind of paid off. So, and I think I was too not that they asked for it, or it was demand from them, but I think I was too dependent on them. If you're a part of something, then you look like, what's going on, guys? What are we doing? What we're going? What's the guidelines? And then I would say maybe even like we're so east. I think maybe the central, let's say kind of what's the personnel checking, should have been maybe better, because it was harder to feel it. Like I said, in a eastern part, it was America, it was UK, it was Ireland, and it kind of spread there, but it was harder and harder to feel it in the eastern side, all the vibe. And I don't think we had like Skype meetings of every month, let's get together regionally, let's talk and chat. So, and I think back then I was different also, so I had harder time belonging and getting along, I think, even with yeah, let's say with people overall. And I was more inwards than compared to what I have now. Or I still got along with Matt and Travis Davison, and they all helped me. But I think I just being here, I think I grew apart, and I think it's even good thing. And so I usually wish for them whatever they want to do, let them do it. They had their own vision and what they do right now. And clearly it worked off, and I had something in me that needed to be explored. And I think I really feel honestly that if I would have stayed, I wouldn't be here where I am today, and kind of set me free, and I could promote my things and go my own way. And I think it's hard when you don't have a way, and then it's easier to be connected to something, But I really, it seems like looking backwards, I had something in me that needed to be explored, and I maybe feel that it wasn't so much felt buy them, like, let's say, what I had, and I had to go my own way to actually start to see the potential of it. So yeah, no kind of, no ill feelings, but just it was some itch needed to scratching, and then
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it turned out good.
Do you think when like a team, a club, a school becomes so big that it expands so quick and it gets good success, that kind of that individual ability or expression of kind of art, because it is a martial art that we're learning, which requires creativity. I know it requires also a kind of systemic approach to techniques or concepts, etc. But when the team becomes so big that that's where you have parameters and borders where they say, this is our curriculum, this is what we need to teach, etc. And then you kind of that self-expression or that creativity gets stemmed, because the team becomes a victim of its own success. It's like, well, we must wear these gis, we must have this setup within the gym, and then it almost looks the same everywhere you go, and there is no like individual expression. There is no ability for you, like with your stuff with the defensive BJJ, to go and explore that and say, well, hang on a second, I want to turn a concept on its head. We've always been taught never expose your back. I'm going to expose my back and go from there.
Yeah, so I don't like central authority, because that gives too much credit to them that they know what they're doing. And and I think Christian Grauert was also, the club order head boss. He's also actually a former SPG guy that left SPG. And so he
Sorry
has,
to
he
interrupt.
has,
Sorry to interrupt, but next time you
yeah.
speak to him, can you tell him I've read his book and I really liked his I liked his book.
Oh, okay. Yes, I will tell him. So, so central stuff that he always said, if you're a white belt, blue belt, and then, from black belt, it's information going one way mostly because you're learning. And then, you get better and brown and black, but it has to be changed, that information goes both ways now. Then the question is why we're, let's say affiliation fees, whatever, why we're paying each other, because maybe somebody brings as much value or more value. And I'm not saying it was me, but in certain point it's why it's only one way. And I think, yeah, so I don't like that. You have to wear the one gis, and I know why people like it and all the military stuff and authority and everything else. I don't like it. um it's a very easy money-making scheme, and I know why people want to get connected to some gyms. They can compete under something, blah blah blah. So the system is built that you kind of have to latch on to something. It's not like you have just business and you work with anybody you want because you want information and you're on your own and you compete. But the system is at least IBGF, and now there's more competition, so you don't have to stay in IBGF. But first they ran kind of jiu-jitsu back in the day. So now people have more options, but it was all built that you latch on some big name, and then get it. So, and if you're a club, I guess white belt, blue belt, you like that there's a curriculum. But later, if you're a black belt, maybe you have different ideas. But you're still, if you're under some brand, I don't think SPG is that strict in that sense, or was. That this is you have to do this and this. But I think also affiliation in that sense comes to be like, okay, are you managing my risks? Or like what else is happening, and then kind of central, kind of taking care of the kind of like those individual cells, like support and management talks. And so it's not like they didn't have it. They also have a business group and everything. So, but I just don't like it that you neglect the individual ideas. And then I don't think it was, or those central, those bigger gyms, they work like that every black belt can give their input. It's pretty much straight down, and it's up to, I guess, local belt that they will do it, or they're not going to do it. I don't know how strict it is, or somebody comes and checks what people do there or whatever. So because curriculum
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't like it. I think it's good to have, if you know how to do business. Now there's more and more talks about also like from different clubs, they teach you how to do jiu-jitsu business. So it's not franchise given. And I think individual clubs can just do their own thing. But I guess they have to find a way around of that IBJF, or they compete somewhere else. Like Globetrotter was their way, but IBJF kind of banned the Globetrotter after the belt checker. So, but you can compete anywhere else if you want. I really think that individual clubs could do just individual things, and and then build up the jiu-jitsu. I'm not against franchise, but yeah, but it's hard to keep the quality up, and it's tricky. And I know why you want to build the franchise, more money, blah blah blah, but in that sense, maybe I agree with you that maybe it gets too big. And you don't reach anymore the outer bounds, so to speak. That you have to take care of those people. Ask how they do, worry about it, and it's a different ball game in that sense. So if those things are managed, why not? And there's benefits of them having. But I really enjoy right now our own Estum Jiu-Jitsu right now, and doing the way we like it, and so being like as independent as we can, and we work with anybody we want, and there's less drama and less looking up, and less can I do this, can I do that, and so I really enjoy that. Nobody anymore shouldn't, but usually like who can you train with and who can you not, and usually in franchises that you are expected to support those franchise coaches a little bit, in some way. So I don't like it. I ask people that I value and who have information, and if it's outside of certain franchise, then so be it. That actually puts like I think the pressure for free market, and I work with anybody I want, not like it's guaranteed for some people. And I myself, I really don't like those yearly what franchise give, like those really must seminars, that somebody has to come 1 year or twice. They have to, you have to invite them. I really enjoy that. If somebody has something, I invite them. If I don't, then I don't invite them. I always told when I travel, I always told people as long as I have stuff to teach, I'm willing to come. I'm never gonna be the coach that's gonna teach you armbar from the guard, and if I do my research, and if there's something to teach, I will come, and if they're not, I will tell you also. So I don't like that obligation and, so to speak, easy money.
Well, that's an interesting kind of discussion point, I think. And firstly, before we get into it, I've got to give you massive thanks and say, and I know I've messaged you saying thank you very much. But the stuff you have been teaching that I've picked up on and I've implemented into my game has been a massive change. Now I am 43 years of age. Okay, so I'm going to have a bit of a different game as opposed to somebody a lot younger who's coming into jiu-jitsu. But there was a time, and I think it was about a year ago, and I was working with my coach, and he'd been to one of your seminars maybe a couple of years before that, and he started introducing this concept, grilled chicken, Hawkins,
Yeah.
running man, panda, and he did a few sessions. And I remember being in the session and being like, okay, when you kind of concentrate, you get it, but the penny doesn't necessarily drop. And then it didn't drop for a while. And then for about 8 months, and every time I rolled with him, it was just, it always is impossible anyway, but everything was impossible. To even get a hook in, it was becoming impossible. And it was almost like he was proving it against us. And then there was one day where he did the same criteria again, and we went through it. And then it kind of dropped. Like it really, really dropped. Like a very... There's a guy over here called Jeff Thompson, and he calls it the happy accident. And that's where you could study a movement over and over and over and over again. And then one day, even though you've learnt it so many times, the truth of the movement or the truth of the concept finally resonates with you. And it really resonated with me to the point where I came home and spent the weekend looking at all your videos, all of your Globetrotter videos, watching them, studying them, and then going back in. And within a week, I went back in and my coach was like, "What have you been doing?" I went, "What do you mean?" He went, "What have you, this is really working." And I started training it against everyone in the club. And I was having great success. I would say limited success against some of like the higher brown and black belts, but everyone else, it was working really well. And at that time, I was a blue belt, a purple belt now, to the point where I even went back to my old club where I first started BJJ, and it was really successful and I had great success at that club. So I've got to say thank you, first of all, for doing that.
Welcome.
So, so from you doing that, I then started to look into Eduardo Telles, because you pay great homage to Telles and the fact that, you know, he's the king of the turtle. And I really went down this kind of rabbit hole looking into, you know, defense BJJ. And I think it works really well for somebody like my age, not to be age discrimination or discriminative, but it works really well for somebody, I'd say, of my ability and time that I've been doing it. I don't know if I was younger, I don't know what the impact would be. What was the moment that it changed for you where you started to say, I will give you my back?
Well, I can give you some points in history, but exact history, I don't know. I grew up also in my journey. I grew up with the idea that, you know, turtle is a transitional position, don't stay there and everything else. And now I know those sentences are wrong. Everything is a transitional, I would say, you know, why would you stay in side control or mount, you know? And so you always do transitional escapes. But turtle always got the heat, like always this, don't stay there. So in some point, I don't know, I started to like it to be there. And also I wanted, I guess, to give the better answer to it. And I don't know why, where was the first step, you know? I don't know, what did I play it before? So it's really, really fuzzy, because what I can say is, like, there's a publicly available YouTube clip of Saulo Ribeiro, I think from his DVD or something, when he talks about Running Man. Yeah, he has his own version, a little bit different than I do. And he says, yeah, well, he's just, you know, he's just behind me. He's not going to take your back, or, you know. So he said something like this. And I would credit this also to like, okay, he's a 10-time world champion, you know, and he puts his name behind that sentence, you know, and then says, yeah, you know, all good, you know, I'm here, and he's just behind me. And so I at the moment, I think I took it as authority value, that I don't have to do hundreds of hours of testing, you know, that is it okay that somebody's behind me, or what happens, you know, what is the chance or ratio that they will attack my back or take it even. So I was like, okay, Saulo says it's good, then I'm running with it, you know. And so I think that is also, and one point that we started to study it, because turtle actually took time, because there was a Swedish guy, Eric Linden, now purple belt, I think. Back then I think he was training in Linköping in Sweden. So he was decently good in turtle. So, and he was the guy actually that started my turtle research more deeper, because, you know, I couldn't touch Telles, you know, he's far away. I saw his matches, but it didn't make any sense why nobody could attack him, so to speak. Yeah, he still have some losses, you know. I think Andre Calvao did some darts to him or something, but most of it, you know, Keenan couldn't take his back. And so, and then I think Eric Linden was the first that kind of really, I know it took us actually 2.5 years to actually figure it out, that what he did, because, you know, sometimes some guys are doers, they're not good explainers. And he couldn't actually explain, like, to the core, what does it do. And he also made it look so very complicated. And then it took us, it's not a joke, it's like 2.5 years, not like, you know, every day, but, you know, monthly, a little bit here and there, studying, trying different things. I think the period was 2.5 years to find that structure. And then we understood, basically it's like grilled chicken turned around, you know. And then we saw, oh shit, you know, that's the chicken, and turtle is then turned around. And that made us think, there might be some weirdly universal things, because it's you know, looked very same. And we still did it like toes on the mat, and now we do also seal feet and everything, so it's involved. But that is also that was also, I think, for me, the first evidence that it's similar. It's the same, that because that was the last structure that I didn't check, because I guess the notion was that it cannot be that, that because it has to be something else. But then it actually turned out to be that, and I was like, oh shit, you just turn it around. And then like in some point I was doing the sitting turtles panda, it was just that structure sitting up, so. And I was like, and then maybe got a little bit obsessed, like that's fine, that structure everywhere. And now we have those also in the system, those unsymmetrical structures, like one is a staggered stance, one is a neutral stance, like every sport has them. And I honestly, it's always it's when I find that 0 point, it's always pre that and post that. And pre that, I have like, what do I do in turtle? How did I taught the turtle? What? I have no memory of that. And as soon as we have like 0 point, I know exactly what I do. And it's really like a time stamp, boom. And then it happened with a grilled chicken, happened with a turtle, happened with a back stuff. It really gave like before and after kind of timeline, exactly like. And now I can explain it. I know everything, how he's evolving. Because before I probably had some techniques, I don't remember that I had like any safety positions in turtle, how to stay safe. That's why it was always called transitional, because people thought you were in trouble, like seat belts and stuff getting in. But so again, see that it's fuzziness about the history. But Saulo, I think, yeah, Saulo, that YouTube clip is pretty famous for me. That one guy saying, no, he's just behind me, and who cares, And that was fascinating for me. And because the Hawking started from Saulo also, because I think it was Saulo who said, like, why would you give a guy a crossface? And we were like, what? This is an awesome idea, that why won't you fight? It was like old, like 10 years ago or something. So he was, that's early framing and stuff. And then we started to like practice just not giving people's crossface, like really making our head heavy on a mat, and not having the head up. And so now we do different things because we have more knowledge. But Saulo was, I don't know why, because those, maybe it was even his videos was the early ones, like his Saulo, whatever, Ribeiro Jiu-Jitsu, the many DVDs. There was like the earliest DVDs, one of them, that people got, and then now the fanatics, that really boosted the DVD sales. But back in the day, it wasn't like this, so fewer people did them. So I think a lot of people actually learned from Saulo. But for me, those things kind of, if I remember, they struck out and kind of gave me like, interesting, yeah, good idea, let's try it, and trust in that authority a bit. Always be doubtful, but kind of take it. And because we know that the SPG back in the day was very crossface heavy. SPG was also calling, I think John Kavanagh said it or something, was shoulder of justice, we call this. Yeah. So it was very crossface heavy top control, that always cranking the head and everything. And it was give people like dominant control. And it was very, very good to find a solution for it, or somebody said something, how to deal with that, because before it wasn't that obvious that, you couldn't turn in because the crossface, you couldn't turn out because it was kind of forbidden. And you have to really time that because of transitional defense. And then when you stayed there on your back, it was hell, because you can't turn in and can't turn out. And what is left, stay on your back. And then the crossface kind of works the best, even, so to speak. And so that's I would credit at the moment Mr. Saulo Ribeiro. Yes.
Well, I mean, you have a very scientific approach, and you talk about this. You like the process of science and elimination. Trial it, see if it works, stress test it. Where do you see kind of all this going
in the future?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting question for a future. Usually people ask where I got it, that, and but future is really, really unknown and very interesting, and it's tickling me when I think about it, because what we can do, what we can explain, and if we put enough time into it, is really, really intriguing. So so first of all, I hope I will figure out more stuff about technical aspect of jiu-jitsu, late armbars, late kimuras, late tarikaplatas, super, late super. So I'm trying to figure out late stuff for upper body, positional one. And also what comes to that mindset that some people have pointed it out, that I experiment in my level publicly, usually, through my site. We do public experiments. So for many people, it's actually, they call it very ballsy, because you don't usually see, like, let's say, Andre Calvao's process publicly, I think. Maybe people in the gym, maybe he sees, but I don't know, does his site has like, okay, we're doing this, and after 6 months, we hope to have results, So I've done those things in my site pretty good, that somebody ask something, and then, latest one was paper got their choke. I think it took us a couple of months, and I think there's 4 or 5 videos on my site that goes like, okay, now it's final video, that I do public experiment, because I don't pretend I know the answers. And then I just gonna find out. And seems like everything on my back I can solve with Hawking and Baby Rich. That is weird. And I'm very biased towards my work, but I don't like it that it's that, but I can do it. So, and that's why we're going with this. And I think with this scientific stuff, and I don't think I'm only one that talks about it. There's more people talking about it, the coaching methods now more, and it's like, science-based. But I think the attitude, maybe people can see what I do it, and it's maybe inspiring, that it's testing, it's this and that. And I'm only moving forwards because I can do what I do. And I usually, let's say, all my back defense survival seminars starts with me taking decent sized like brown and black belts and letting them choke me publicly. And then if they can't, I survive. And then I say, okay, now let's do the seminar. So, and I always tell them, if I fail, I will change the topic of the seminar. So, and I can do it. There's also Klopter videos when I actually do it, live, so to speak, on the seminars. So evidence is weird, and so that is the process I'm also promoting. That let's maybe stop pretending we know things, and let's pretending there's nothing to study there where I am, because I've shown there are. And let's keep open mind. Let's challenge the old dogmas. We have done those things this way. We changed the dogmas when it comes to leg locks. They were considering cheap and disrespectful wins. Look at them now. It's basically gi is a little bit even slipping from the people's hand, and no gi is taking over because there's more interesting. And I feel the old dogmas are still there when it comes to upper body. Like those kind of half sentences are all around the jiu-jitsu, like don't turn your back. But I think it's like a different sentence. I've done karate, so I hope I said it nicely. So, maybe somebody knows Japanese. Karate ni sente nashi or something. Karate means like karate guy never attacks first or something, yeah? Or some, but it's a half sentence, because it actually, there's another sentence that says, if necessary, it always hits first. I think because they fed this for us when we were younger, with all this martial arts philosophy, you never attack first, blah blah blah, and it kind of became you never hit first, But it's important that if you got attacked first and you hit first, that's a different reason, And it's allowed to hit first when somebody attacks you. But I grew up with a totally different philosophy, And then this, like, don't turn your back. No, don't turn your back when you don't know what you're doing, maybe, And maybe that's a better sentence, Clearly more healthier way of looking at, but it becomes a really ridiculous rule that demonize the stuff that actually works. And then people don't do it, and then they're stuck kind of because they can't turn in, and turning out is like forbidden. And then we have other sentences, like keep your elbows close, yeah? And everybody knows that, keep your elbows close. But now we know it's a half sentence, for me at least, because first of all, the question is close where, You can keep it close here, close, you know, where's the closeness? And now we know that maybe only one can be closed and other can be open, because other post is unreachable for them because maybe they're in this side. So I block this, other can be also open. We know, I teach that. So keep the elbows close is maybe elbow close, you know, or it's weird that those, I'm against those sentences now. And also other one is like, you know, what comes to grilled chicken is like, keep your knees to a chest. Yeah. It's very, maybe you've done jiu-jitsu, you know that sentence, keep the knees to a chest. But if you know the background, what it means, it kind of makes sense. But also question is like, how wide, how close, how narrow, you know? And that's the grilled chicken stuff that tries to answer. And when you have this grilled chicken thing, then it all makes sense, you know, that if you go, let's just coaching cue, keep your knees to the chest, you know, keep your arms up. But arm up means, you know, arm is totally this up, you know? So it has to be like, what means up, you know? And then up is correct position, not like up. So it has to be said that there's not just a coaching cue, but what's the background? And I guess if you know all what I do and promote, and you say, don't turn your back, I understand it can be also a healthy way, because turning in, we can argue, is better, you know? But when you can't, turning out is totally fine. That maybe your first option should be turning in, you know? So, you know, we can argue about that. And there's like, I actually think that turning in is better when you have a turning out option, because you can set it up, turn out, turn in, you know, like a jab cross system. So they help each other. Which punch is more important, jab or a cross? Well, you know, cross works better because of jab, and jab because of the cross, you know? Because of that dichotomy, we can do jab cross forever and nobody has figured it out. So because cross is harder to punch, you know, it comes from further distance, and you can see it better coming, and you have to hide it then, you know, but it's still, you have to do it. And you can also lead with a cross, you know, sometimes you have to, because you want to mix it up, because if they only expect the jab, it's easier, you know? So I think those sentences, you really need to have a right context, and then they again make sense. But just without context, passing them on, like, you know, don't turn your back, they become very dangerous dogmas to believe in. And like wrestlers, I've talked to wrestlers, and they said, you know, escaping their referee position, they do it a bit over 60% of statistics. And even somebody like somebody said who plays poker, that if you have a poker hand and you have like a, you know, 63% of, you know, sure of something, and that's a pretty good hand already, you know, you don't get like 80% or something, you know, mostly 60 is already way better than chance, you know. And so wrestlers have referees because they train at escape so much, you know. So we don't train escapes that much, and then it's easy to go like, don't go there, you know. But there's a world there to be discovered, and I think we should explore it. And then not showing your back is actually easier if you know what's the danger is, you know. Knowing this, what is there, what's the world is, it's easy to avoid it, you know. So just telling people don't go there, it's like you're like asking them to go there. It's like telling the kid don't do it, you know. And you know they're gonna do it, but it's better. As a new parent also, I have a kid, you know, 1.3 years old. It's better to get them exposed and not say don't do it, because right now, you know, we're dealing with the stairs, let's say with my kid. It doesn't make any sense to tell him don't go. My job is to get him exposed to stairs so he's not going to fall down, you know. And so those are important skills. So when he goes to the stairs, I want him to, you know, not fall and get injured. Yeah, I'm not going to be always there, you know. So I clearly right now also, I don't like those easy answers. Don't. Yeah. So yeah, so that's kind of irritates me also when something is like, you can't do it. It's like, why? And then we have certain like crazy reasoning from history, you know, or something that, like, I always say, like, what is the chance, let's say the Helio Gracie was right about everything, you know? What is a chance? Like, if somebody says he was like, there's non-disputable, everything he said is correct, and I can't I can't take those people seriously, you know. So because in any other field we have made so many advances, you know, and if people would be ready, be happy with the Pentium 5, you know, that's it. We have Intel 12 right now, because people were unhappy and still wanted to push the envelope with, new materials and stuff. And we did what was good back then, but I think the biggest message, I think somehow people, I don't know, misunderstand. I think even with Shigeru Kano or Bruce Lee or even Helio, those guys were innovators, but what happened when they're gone? People got stuck, Bruce Lee, it was very famously, people got stuck and started to now argue who's the real Bruce Lee Jeet Kune Do doer, and Helio, he was very big innovator, the history of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is messed up anyway. There's like it's a bigger mess who started what and what they did, but you can clearly like credit like innovation, yeah. So, and what's the message now that gentleman, is gone already. So his message was innovation, going against the norm, doing their stuff. And so that's, I think, the biggest message, that we can't settle, If somebody says, don't do it, no, I'm going to do it, I'm going to try. And why it's forbidden. So I'm actually trying to also like push that those guys were innovators. So why we're stuck in some history and we're doing this, what they meant? No. Their message was completely different.
Pritt, I'm so grateful for your time. Unfortunately, we are going to have to wrap it up there, but I know we're just getting up some good steam. Maybe we could do an episode 2. Would that be all right?
Of course. I like to talk. Yeah. So I think this is a good, let's see if you want to stop. I'm fine. And we can go to more technical aspects. And I think we find time to talk something else. I would really love to do it again.
Awesome.
And hit me up, and I'm fine.
Okay. Let's get that in the diary. We won't say stop. We'll just say pause for now. This is episode 1. We'll let people get a little taste of what you're about, and then I'll be I'll be in touch with you as soon as possible, and hopefully we'll get episode 2 in within the next week or so, or whenever you're available.
Yeah. I'm now in vacation in Dubai, so going tomorrow morning, and so I have time. And so whatever you want during those 2 weeks, I will super available.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for today. Much appreciated.
Yes. Okay.
Take care. Bye.
Take care.